Sawadee Ka. Welcome to Think Pink Podcast, episode number 6. Today I'm joined by a very special person to me. I've actually known him for 36 years of my life. He's
How long?
Yeah, man, he's been my trainer for 22 years of that. So, little surprise, Monday just gone was 22 years since I first walked into training with you the first time.
Oh, right.
Yeah, man.
That's
Nuts.
that's hectic.
It's crazy. So, this is Sam Binetti, and he's, one of the main reasons I'm here today, why I'm doing this stuff, why I'm known in this scene. If it wasn't for knowing this young man and him helping me get my life straight in a big way and teaching me all my original stuff that I learned and happy to send me on my way to Thailand and go and do my own thing. Without this person, I wouldn't be here today. So I can never thank him enough. I'm always forever grateful and will love this guy for the rest of my life. My kids call him Uncle Sam, and my wife loves him, and everyone loves him. Even he did the eulogy at my grandmother's funeral because I wouldn't have been able to do it, and he knew her well enough to do it as well. So
that was special.
It was very special for me. Like sitting there watching you do that, man. Like knowing that she would have loved that as well. Yeah. So Sam Binetti.
Yeah.
My man.
That's it. So as Pinky said, he's saying he wouldn't be here without me, on the picture, but it's guys like him and, the others that are coming up around us that were there when he started. Without them, I'm nothing either. I'm just another bloke. And it just brings me to that point of feeling like, making a difference out there.
Yeah, man, all worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
Man, I see that so many times where, someone, man, they definitely wouldn't have been anyone with it unless they found martial arts.
Nah.
And so many of us, man, you remember me in my worst days and...
worst days.
and a good thing, there's 2 people in this world who I could go to on those worst days, and it was you and my grandma.
Yeah.
And a memory pops up every year on Facebook where it was like, who needs antidepressants when you got Sam? Because I'd just been to your house. I remember that day.
Yeah,
I rocked up to your house in Welland. I was an absolute mess. I was still smashing drugs at the time, and man, you just say the right things to me, and you always have, So.
Well, you're right. You've risen from from a dark spot, and I've watched you go from that dark place into a position of being a father, a mentor, a coach, yourself, running your own school. I mean, that's bloody a hard job, If you ever fucking run a school, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And now it's like, I can see him start to put his spin on things, and we actually have totally different views on Muay Thai, right?
Yeah.
But my views is I'm a freestylist, and he's a Muay Thai stylist, 100% to the.
Yeah, like I'm like that by the book guy. I'm the nerd. I'm the Muay Thai nerd. That's the way I kind of look at it. Like I look at it like Muay Thai is this way, and it's like doctors. They do everything by the book. Yeah. That's how I kind of feel with my Muay Thai, And my opinions don't have to bother anyone else, and your opinions don't have to upset me, and we can have our different things that we like, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean that...
If we're all the same, it'd be like there's no room for,
artistic flair.
Artistic flair.
That's a big one. Like
that's
I think,
a big word, yeah.
I think like that's, I will continue to do what I do, but so will you. And we love what we do, and that's what we're good at. So we continue doing it, right? And we make the adjustments as they come when we continue developing, right? We make little changes here along the way, and
100%.
Yeah. So let's go back 73 years. How did you get into martial arts?
Oh, how did I get into martial arts? Was I actually met a mate down at the Milan Hotel. Ref Bernie Kerr, you probably know him as the main ref. Met him down there. He was a young bloke as well, a few years older than myself, and we got talking, and we started talking fighting and stuff, and he was training in martial arts.
Yep.
I think at that time he was a I think he was a brown belt.
Yep.
Or just got his black belt. And we're talking about like striking and fighting and that, and like he was interested in the fact that I was boxing.
Yep.
And so I was boxing. I came up through my uncle,
Yep.
like, who was a champion.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't mind saying, God bless his soul.
Yeah.
He was the actual champion. He was going to the 1976 Montreal Games and got injured with a circular saw at work, and never was able to get back to that spot. But because of his early years of boxing and going to training every day, I used to go along with him. And first I was one of the little kids underneath the boxing ring, fucking around.
Yep.
So I just grew up around it, playing around inside there and bouncing off ropes and stuff like that. And then sort of, as I got older, I started to focus a little bit more. And then, and then I'd met Bernie anyway. He's an absolute champion, champion bloke.
Yeah,
and it has had a massive part in my martial arts journey. And anyway, so we're at the pub and we're talking about boxing and martial arts.
Yep.
He's saying this and I'm saying that, and I felt like we were really connected, and I really appreciated what he had to say, and he was giving me the same respect, and I thought, oh, this is good,
cool.
This is cool. We've got a mutual respect here. And anyway, he said about, he said, oh, you should come out and do some training and stuff. And I said, funny that you say that, because I met Charlie a little while ago, who was my teacher, God bless his soul.
Yep.
Absolute champion and legend. From the past, and literally he's with me every day. But he was a massive impact, through Bernie.
Yep.
And we just ended up. I went to see him. I'd seen him at the Brickworks one time, and he said to me, he goes, yeah, he said, come down and train, and there he was, like his hair tied back in a ponytail, and he had these white gi pants on with the red and the white stripe, and he just looked like a hippie, but he was a real cool dude.
He was a hippie,
and he was. Yeah, he definitely was. He was a hippie.
The combi van and shit.
A cool hippie.
Yeah, for absolutely. Sure.
And then we sort of like hit it off, and anyway, I said I was going to come and train, and I said that I'd met this bloke Bernie down at the pub, and he goes, yeah, Bernie's one of my guys, and we sort of started talking a bit more.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm about to go away anyway. He goes, I'm going over to, I think he went over to Greece, and then over to Thailand and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I'll see you maybe when you get back if you're around.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, no worries. He goes, go and do some stuff with Bernie. See how you like it, So I did. I went to start training with Bernie.
Cool. Where was that?
It was actually just up the road here. On Crittenden Road.
Oh, really?
There's a...
the Macedonian Hall?
No, that round, it's got a rounded...
Oh, yeah. It's like, it looks like an airport hangar.
Yeah,
it's like a dance studio or something now. Yeah.
And George Leondaris, he used to run that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and at that point, Bernie didn't have a place.
Yep.
And he said, you can we'll go and train there. Oh, sorry. Bernie said we'd go and train there. So Bernie wasn't there this particular time. And I went to train there with George, and he was a real cool dude. He's only a little bloke like myself, but man, he actually got some hectic, he had some hectic kicks and stuff like that. It was pretty exciting. And yeah, my introduction to that dojo was pretty hectic, so I rocked up there. I just had jeans on and stuff like that, and I'll join in.
Yep.
Why not? So I get into it, and anyway, this guy in there, it was I can't even remember his name now, but I remember him having a green belt. He had a green belt on.
Yep.
And it came up to sparring, and I was like, I didn't know how I was going to be, because I wasn't really good at the sparring. I just train and fight. And that's it. I didn't really spar too much, because I used to get really fucking angry when someone hits me. So I wasn't really cool at understanding how to take shots. So I thought this is going to be a good journey for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, started sparring that lad, and he punched me right in the face, and I ate it. It was all right. Did split my lip right down here, and
oh wow.
I was like, okay. So I'm moving around, get my hands up. I got to get my hands up.
Yep.
And I'm dodging a few punches and stuff like that, and I'm trying to out a few kicks, and I wasn't real good at them either at that particular point. But I did start to adapt. I just watched what he was doing, and then I got into it. Anyway, he punched me in the face again, and then I thought to myself, is this guy trying to actually fucking hurt me? Because I feel like now I'm actually a human being, and I know when someone's actually trying to hurt me. And this guy was actually fucking a bit of a douche, and he was trying to fucking hurt me. I felt it.
Yep.
And I thought I was trying to play his game, and it wasn't working.
Yep.
And then, you know, I thought I'm going to stick my head in that block hole one more time and just see if he knows it's already split.
Yep.
Is he going to do it again? So I fucking put my head in there, and fucking sure enough, he fucking cracked. Well, that was it. There was no more martial arts, no more boxing. We're on for young and old, and I literally I power drived him from the chest into the piano at the end of the dojo, and banged his head on the fucking piano, on the top of the piano thing, down onto the floor, and I've fucking punched him, and I've kicked him in the head, and it was terrible, total loss of control. And George jumped up and goes, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, oh fuck, you know, he was trying to look, you know, he's trying to fucking hurt me, and you know, I was just trying to defend myself. So, one of those things.
Isn't it funny? Like, even there's always been those guys, right? There's always the gym bully. There's always the dude who's never going to be the best in there, but he's always trying to hurt everyone to make up for his shortcomings or whatever. But even just going back to like a different generation of people, like how, you know, people were genuinely tough back then. Like, you had genuinely tough people, and then like every generation you got the wannabe tough guys. But let's discuss that for a little bit. Like, obviously you've been doing this for a long time and trained a lot of fighters, a lot of champions over the years. How have you noticed how soft everyone's getting? Like, how different it is training people now compared to back then. Like, I suppose I was probably the first I could have probably been one of your first soft guys coming through, I guess, because I was pretty, I was a sensitive sort of dude, and back then, and you know, I've still got it in me now to be the same sort of guy, I guess. But
you just didn't like getting hit either.
Yeah, I hated it.
No, let's face it, no one likes getting hit, right? So you got to get better so you don't get hit. That's the bottom line.
It is, for sure, and not, you know, wanting to get hits, okay. Not like getting hits, okay, but you've also then not got to be soft about it. Like, that's that, I suppose.
Composure.
Yeah, physically hard's one thing as well. Like, you can get physically tough, but you know, that mental game that we're dealing with now in the next generation of people. It can take it out of you. Like, try and deal with it. You know. I
think the with the generation that's now, you know, you got to help construct that mental toughness. Because it's you know, some people just have it. Some people do, they just have it, you know what I mean? They've always had it, even from the time they were a kid, you know? They were the kid at school that, you know, like, not bullied anyone, but they weren't going to be bullied by anyone, you know?
And they weren't bullied because people knew they wouldn't get bullied.
And quite often they were the quiet ones. Not always, but at times. But yeah, I think that trying to build a solid mindset is probably one of the toughest things to have and possess in a fight game, because your mind will tell you what you can do. Right. Your body will just do it. Right. Your body, when you're fighting, you know, and you're fit, you know, your body will do whatever your mind tells it to do. Right. So it'll just keep going.
Yes, for sure.
But when your mind's tired, you got to understand, when your mind is tired, that's when you need to reset and start again. You know,
which is where burnout comes in, right?
That's right. You can't do that in the middle of a fight. You either got to be switched on. You either get knocked the fuck out otherwise. So, you know,
and that's where that, you know, sometimes it's your night, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have that night where it's just your brains was left at home, and unfortunately that's what you're dealing with. And unless your instinct is like fight to the death, then you're probably not going to do too well in there, right? On those nights when it's a shit one.
That was me. I always used to fight to the death. In my own head, and it was the worst thing for me. It was detrimental to me ever becoming anything decent.
I went through a stage when I was in Thailand doing the same sort. It was just like,
kill or be killed.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it was probably the worst part of my career as well, where I was definitely wearing more than I should have because I was too busy thinking about just going nuts and trying to hurt them and whatnot. And yeah, it's definitely a different generation, right? Like dealing with students now can be such a battle just on trying to keep them mentally together.
Yeah, but I find that with myself at the moment, because I've taken a step back from working on all of those guys. I've got a handful of guys that I work with now. You know, Manoli Camboris is a household name.
Yep.
You know, people's champion even, as well as many abroad. And then we've got Isaac. He's coming through.
Yep.
Causing big waves on the scene. And powerhouse and a lefty. Dangerous. And then so I've got like a mix there, and then I've got Harry, the young fella. Yeah. And the young tall Harry, and he's actually he's going to be good. He's going to be really.
I met him a few weeks ago. I dropped in to see Manoli at West Central.
Yeah.
And I met Harry.
Good.
Yeah.
He's a nice lad, and he's actually him and Isaac both came from a good mate of mine, Kim Robinson. Who,
no shit.
Yeah, that's how they came about. So,
Kim's like a founding MMA fighter, like he's one of the probably the first in SA, right?
Yeah, one of the most. I think he's the most experienced, credentialed fighter in Adelaide. You talk MMA, he's been everywhere. He's fought everyone.
Yeah.
And such a beast and a loving man as well. Like just a good person.
Do you remember me sparring him that time? And I didn't know he had a fight coming up.
Yeah.
It was still pretty fresh in my days anyway, but like I was kind of like fighting to survive, I guess, and going a little bit harder than I should have. And I remember that. Like that just clicked to me now. Yeah. Totally forgot about that.
Yeah. But like he's the backbone of Harry. He's had Harry since he was a young lad.
Yep.
And so when he was shutting up shop, what he was doing, and focusing on his riding, still training every day. He's an absolute animal. He's
for sure.
He reminded me a lot of my own teacher, Charlie. I think that's why I just hit it off with him, because he's unorthodox style training methods.
Yep. But lifetime martial artist too, right?
Lifetime martial artist, 100%. Yeah. And Isaac was training with him as well. So I wasn't taking on any more guys other than Manoli. We were a solo team.
Yep.
But I felt there was an opportunity, and look, these guys they're tough, and it was good. I've helped them excel. Yep. And we're still in contact with the coach. Cool. With Kim Robinson, and he comes in corners for us as well.
Yeah, sick.
So I like to use his brain. His smart fight brain. He understands what's going on as well. Yep. So and then and we've also got Miles. He's always he's been around for a long time. Yep. He always gives me the utmost respect. He's a good guy, and
great guy, man.
Got Harry working with him as well, which is really cool. So they're both both MMA guys. Yep. Manoli's my only Muay Thai exponent, and I have two juniors that are coming up. But the generation that's coming up now, I like them to be around Manoli, because Manoli sets another bar. He
works hard, great work ethic, great mental game. Trains like a motherfucker, does what he's told. Yeah. For sure.
I don't even have to tell him. He actually.
But you did already. You told him a year ago or 2 years ago. Yeah. That stuck with him, because he listened.
Things that like I've said to him earlier on in the piece. Yep. And now he's returning the favour. He's giving me lessons without him even realising. Which is good, because it sort of keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, for sure.
So I like the youth to be around him, because he has a good energy. Yep. And he's very intelligent and a wise person.
So that's also another thing. Like, a lot of the intelligent people, it doesn't translate across to fighting. They don't fight very well because they're trying to make everything into like fucking algebra or something. Like they're trying too hard to make it something that it's not. Yeah. Whereas his intelligence transfers across to how he fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to find. Hard to find. He's also, you know, martial artist by blood. He literally brought up with it.
Yeah.
Like born into that exact thing.
Absolutely.
And without even, you know, never being pressured into doing it, and it just.
Yeah, he just did it every day. I remember warming up the, you know, like Charlie'd come in, and he'd instead of me warming up the class, he'd want to do it. You know? That's just how he was. You know, and he said his Manoli, you stretch him. Manoli was just like he was only a little bloke.
I remember the fight shows back in the day.
Stretching his legs.
Charlie would always come up and come to the fight shows to see us and stuff, and Manoli would be there, like tagging along and being around the fights growing up and stuff.
Yeah, so, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Let's go back to 2003 to like 2009 when I left full time. When I'd already obviously done between 2005 and 2009. I was most of the time I was in Thailand anyway, but that generation of guys, like, it was probably we were one of the most successful gyms in South Australia. We were definitely one of the most active.
Yeah, we're definitely one of the most active, and we were sort of from by that point we just started to make a bit of a name for ourselves, you know, because we were able to attract some really good fighters as well, who were already good fighters, training with good guys, and you know they wanted to come across, and so I helped them progress to another level in, you know, that I thought that they were well deserving of. You know, Alan Walkington, another ref. You know, he's another good guy that's been around for a long time. Yeah, man. And you know, he had, I think, 20 fights with me, and he was, you know, he did really well. He did really well. And you know, we had our ups and downs, like Pinky and me, and
we all do, man.
All the boys, we all do.
It's a relationship, and every relationship's the same, right?
Yeah. Well, every relationship's actually different. But the same, with the same goal.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
So it's always a matter of trying to find out how can I get the best out of this guy, you know. And Alan Walkington was one of the toughest guys I actually trained, pound for pound, for his size and weight. He'd fight anyone, anytime. Didn't give a shit. Was awesome.
Went up in weight, went down in weight, went around and around in weight. Fought dudes that had 200 fights. Fought whoever.
He wasn't phased. And you know, then you know, I had Scott Chiswell, the Chisler. You know,
so we went to primary school together. Yeah. We actually grew up together, like riding our bikes around the hood together and that sort of stuff.
I know you were going from 2005, 2009, we were just saying, but around that time, so you went to Thailand in
2005. Me and Chad went together.
That's right. Yeah, he's another one. Yeah, the Matrix man. Yeah. And you know, I think I had all you guys training firstly back in my shed, my other shed at Norwich Street, Richmond.
Yep.
And then we transferred over to the.
Obviously, it was Monday nights in the Scout Hall. And every time I'm going to the airport with one of my fires, I'm like, that's where I started Muay Thai.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Then I guess I was lucky because when I first started coming training at your house, I wasn't actually even going to be a fighter or anything like.
No, you just came along to see what it was like.
And I loved just being part. I loved being part of something, and you were always like, oh, you know, let the guys come here who are training to fight, like whatever. But you always seemed to let me be there, and obviously
you're a good person to have around. You get shit done. I could ask you to find out this or get that.
And I was happy to do. And this is. Let's go to that then, where. You know, people used to judge me on, I was always in everyone's corner and stuff, and I still am today. Yeah. But that was the same sort of thing you just said there, was the same reason. It was just, I wanted to be part of it. Yeah. And anything that I could do to help, I wanted to learn, I wanted to be there, I wanted to do whatever it was called. I was there, happy to take photos, I was happy, whatever it was, you know? Yeah,
and I think being the fact, if you go back then, you know, like, you know, trainers were a little bit more staunch in that time as well, you know, like, you know, sparring didn't just, like, you wouldn't go over what's the names and spar, you know, like it was an arranged thing always, and you know, now this is where I feel like I was able to change that.
You changed the game. I
felt like I changed the game in Adelaide, and I opened the doors when I was at the fight club there. Any gyms that wanted to come and spar on a Friday night, come spar on a Friday night, because
like mine is now.
Exactly. Because we wanted to get better. And, you know, the only way to get better is to fight guys or train with guys that are sometimes at the better level, you know, and other guys, you know, you get to mix it up with different types of people. And yeah, we might be fighting against these guys, but make no mistake, sparring is sparring, a fight is a fight.
I learned that lesson through sparring Sean Lindley. Man, I would spar him almost every Friday night, and I felt, I was fine.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I could fight him. You're like, you want to fight him? Like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Jump in. He flogged me.
Yeah,
I had no idea that was. I honestly thought it was going to be way closer than that.
Yeah. Well, the same thing happened with Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle Forster. He fought him
That's
as well
right.
for the state title, and you know, Kyle.
First Barossa show, right?
No, it was at Theberton. No, it was at Woodville Town Hall.
Oh, yeah, it was too.
Yeah.
Was that John Chaniotis' show?
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Lapierre fought.
Laps was supposed. No, he didn't end up. He was supposed to be on the one that got cancelled, one that got shut down.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
But yeah, there was. I remember that now. Yeah, that's right. Because then they rematched in Barossa, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because they fought twice, right?
They fought twice. First time was. Did they fight twice? Kyle Forster?
Yeah, I reckon the second time Kyle got stopped with a body kick. Remember, it was like a pretty early on.
I reckon that was a state title fight.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was a state title fight.
Okay.
I reckon that was a state title fight, and he got stopped right in the first, pretty much in the first round, and I was like devastated because I could see Kyle was getting the better of Sean at times in the gym.
Yeah.
And but it was a lesson to learn, you know, like the boys came to fight, you know, Sean obviously, you know, picked up things when he was there, and good for him, you know, like he gave Kyle a good lesson in itself, and myself as well. And we always respected the guys from Barossa Muay Thai. They always come down, you know, Josh Greats, Mandy Greats, beautiful family, great people.
Yeah, man.
And
we just fought them on the last show, the last Valley. Like, it was the first time I've been in the opposite corner of them in years.
You fight fucking anyone, don't you?
Pretty much,
even
man.
fucking fought against my guys. Like we had one, you know, like we had one fight. Manoli fought against Pinky's boy, who was a tough Irishman. That was a good battle, and the beginning of Manoli's. Manoli's
and that was you know, me trying to be a team player as well. You know, like Manoli had lost his opponent or whatever, and. Yeah. Man, it was something, a spot I could feel, so I did, you know.
Yeah, and it was good, and you know, like we decided that, you know, on that night we had the fight, and you know, we had to talk about it, and we said, you know, look, we're never fighting each other again.
Yeah.
Right. That was a great start for a great finish at the same time.
Yep.
You know, I don't know, maybe he wants to get one back up on me. But nah, you know what I mean? It's like he's like my son.
Yeah. Oh man, you know, I say that to everyone. Like you're, you know, in age, it's on paper it doesn't look like father and son, but definitely what you've done for me, like bringing me up and stuff. It's definitely like a father. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I'm sort of like that with all the guys that I've ever trained. You know what I mean?
I think it's important as a trainer to be that person.
Yeah. You know, like at
to be
times,
called daddy.
At times, my missus only calls me daddy, bro.
Nice.
At times, you know, like when the boys were, you know, coming through, it was you know, I did at time have to be like a father figure to them. Yeah. And you know, like I actually learned a lot of things from those boys, from all you boys, you know, growing up, and you know, everybody needs somebody. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, like. When I grind my teeth, or you know, like show my teeth, you know, everybody respected me and understood that, you know, like I wasn't to be taken lightly. I'm a nice guy because I choose to be. At the same time, if I need to fucking show my teeth,
man, I pushed the boundaries a few times, and
he pushed the boundaries. I'm surprised he's still sitting here.
No, but seriously though, like there was a couple of times where I look back now going, fuck, I'd just bash my guys if I was that guy, you know, like there was a time, man. Like, I remember one time where it was out of line, and you gave me a fair old threat. Like, and I was like, but you gave me that. We had a chat on the phone, and you were fucking angry at me. The first thing I did was come to see you the next day.
Yeah, and I respect that.
And I think, you know, it's probably the biggest problem I have now, where if I give someone a scolding, man, they disappear for 3 or 4 weeks to wait for it to cool down.
Yeah.
Like, man, just be in the next day.
Yeah.
And then you'll actually they've got some heart.
Yeah.
They got some love.
Yeah, and you got to appreciate that. You know, like one thing I can say, you know, like as a trainer, or another thing I can say as a trainer is that you know, when you have that relationship with your fighters, and you tell them off, that telling them off is one thing, showing them the love on the other hand, that's like what a parent does. You know, they tell you off if you're out of line, and then, you know, when you're doing something good, or if you show some sort of like remorse for what it is that you did, or the mistake that you made, you know, parents are going to love you, and the parents are always going to love you, and and give you a hug and say, come on, let's go, keep going forward, son, you know. And that's sort of like what I used to be like with all the guys, and I can't really ever remember having a bad turn with anybody, you know, including yourself. You know, we're still here today. Yeah, for sure. And you know, and you're one of the guys out of a lot of the guys that I train over the years who actually has established your own school, which is successful, and you've become successful in your own right by, you know, traveling the world, learning about Muay Thai. You speak Muay Thai. You know, you've sung,
eat, breathe, sleep, and shit.
You've sung songs in Thailand as a junior to make money so you could stay there. And, you know, like, and now you've married a beautiful woman from there. And got, you know, like 2 beautiful kids as well. So that's a bonus. You know, to see that as a trainer is awesome. And so what I say, you know, trainers out there, just remember that we never know the path that, you know, the students walk that come into our club. So it's always a good opportunity for you to, you know, get to know them. A little bit on a personal level as well. And let them know that they can come to you if they ever need anything. That's
help change your life.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes we don't even know. You know, we don't even realise it, and before you know it, it's like, was it 26 years?
22 years. 22 years Monday,
has passed, you know, and we're still here kicking it. You know, but I don't go into his gym like every day, you know, to try and, you know, because I'm his trainer and that, you know, like I go there whenever, because that's his thing, and I want him to have his thing, you know, how he runs his show and how he runs his business. That's totally up to him, you know. I respect, you know, the way that he is and what he's doing. Don't always agree with everything that he does.
Exactly.
We actually got different fight styles, as I said before, and we don't actually agree on everything. But that to disagree, you know, with each other is a respectful thing, right? And that's how we actually learn from each other. So if I want somebody to, I'll say to Pinky, I've got this guy, I want to come over and do some training with you. You know, he'll go over there and he'll train, and Pinky doesn't charge him for a start, and then if he thinks that, you know, they don't really fit in, or they're not, he'll just tell them straight up. I know how he is, and that's cool. You know, he understands that if he ever needs my help, you know, I'm always there as well. You know, we never know when we need each other. You know, whatever it is for, but.
And we're both about as shit as each other at managing time, and even this catch up was kind of like
spur of the minute.
Oh, it's like, oh man, we need to catch up. What are you doing Friday? All right, let's do it.
That's right. And you know, it's just, you got to remember. You know, where you came from as well.
100%.
Not just for him, but for me as well. You know, because it helps me to realise that I have managed to touch the lives of a lot of good young men and some young girls in the future that, you know, did really well. And yeah, you know, just, I think it's just part of growing and growth. You know.
What's all the fights, like I fucking hate to know how many fights you've trained guys for. What's your most heartbreaking? Because that's, for me, is like, I've got a couple of them, and it's just like, man, devastating at the time, you know?
Yeah. Probably one of the most heartbreaking moments with a fighter that I could probably remember was a guy called Brendan Wilson. You know, I always felt that he was just a cut above the rest.
Such a talented athlete, hey?
Very talented, lefty. You know, came from a kung fu background and was very adaptable and dangerous, and super hard hands. He actually was a terrible boxer when he first came, and I used to spar him 10 rounds. You know, like 3 times a week. You know, we'd just be sparring boxing.
And he ended up fighting boxing and winning.
And then he ended up fighting boxing and winning. Yeah, which was really good.
Yeah.
But once he brought the hands into it, into his awesome kicks, you know, he was actually a threat and dangerous to anybody. He got stopped at a fight. He lost his first fight.
Yep.
And he never recovered from it. And, you know, who knows what was going in his mind, but if I ever, you know, got the chance to tell him, you know, I would say I did get the chance to tell him, and I would say it again, is that, yeah, he was actually one of those guys that could have been anything, and he was probably his own worst nightmare.
So that was the night I fought Sean Lindley.
That was.
Same night. Yeah, man.
That was, yes. We didn't have a good night that night. It was at the Woolshed, but
it
was all learning. It's all learning that's got us here today.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. That night was hard. Like, obviously he fought a good up and coming lad from Queensland who ended up going on to having a pile of fights, and lovely guy. Which obviously
Mick Little.
Yep.
Mick Little. Yeah. He was from
I can't remember what gym he was from, eh?
I reckon it was from Joe Hilton. I reckon he was from Joe Hilton's gym.
Was he? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Can't remember. I know.
Was it Joe Hilton?
I ended up hanging out with him. Like, he came back here to fight again, and I was hanging out with him and stuff while he was here. And nice dude, man. We were still in touch on social media until, you know, recent years, I guess. But okay, so totally understand that one. Like, him getting stopped, it was bad, and so Brendan is actually the guy who he's built both my gyms. The first build was both my gyms. He's done built my ring, done all my welding, all that sort of stuff. Would drop everything in a second to help in any way he can.
Yeah, good bloke.
Great guy, absolutely great guy. What's a highlight? What's probably? Do you have a number one? Do you have like one fight where you go, that was the one?
Yeah, if we're talking back then, there was probably a couple of them. One of the big highlights for me was having, I think I had so many of them because we were a new gym on the block, right? And we'd taken a few losses earlier on in the piece, and then we started to rise up.
Yep.
And Scott Chiswell, had a standout fight against technician Kim
Johnson. That's right. Yeah.
That was an absolute cracker fight.
Yeah.
And Chisler didn't get the message
for the state title.
Yeah, for the state pro title, and he didn't get the win against Kim, but he really fought gallantly, and he was really good, and Kim was better on the night.
Yep.
And but I think that fight won fight of the night.
Yep.
They actually put on a good show.
Yep. Kim was massive at 61 kilos.
Yeah, Kim was a giant. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And he's a very talented fighter. There's no shame in losing to somebody like Kim Johnson. He's fought everyone, and he's now producing fighters of his own.
Yep.
That are having great success, which is really good.
Yep.
Good to see.
Yep.
And
What's some fights that stand out to you? Like,
probably the Charles August fight against the Cambo, which is up the top there.
Yeah.
When he fought against
Eputong.
Eputong. Yeah, that was a cracker fight. That was here in Adelaide.
Yep.
And some people say, how you have a world title fight here, but you're fighting against a guy with 400 something fights and broke so many elbows, and he was definitely a challenge for Charles.
Yep.
And alongside great Steve Peach, who was training Charles. I was managing Charles and training Charles as well.
Yep.
And I managed that world title fight.
Yep.
So I had good connection with Im Uk.
Yeah.
And he was running that the what's it called?
Battleground, Ancient
Battle here in Adelaide.
Yep.
And interstate as well. And he was really good. He organised this fight. Was I'd contact him. I said, look, you know, I've got Charles August. This guy here has been around. He's done everything. He's fought everywhere. You know, he's deserving of a, you know, of a world title opportunity. And you know, he made it happen, and he brought this guy over who was a real gun. And the fight was actually close. It was a hard fight. And Charles did enough, you know. He went prepared for it well. He went to Thailand, prepared for it.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that bit.
Came back and he nailed it. I think it was at Golden Grove. I think it was at Golden Grove.
Something like that.
Had a show down there. But his brother, his younger brother.
Which was Ot Patong. Fought Alan a couple of times, right?
What was his first name?
Ot.
Yeah. He fought Alan for the Australian title here. Charles fought his brother for the world title. That was a cracker fight. It was close, and but Charles definitely did enough to win, and it was you know, a real highlight for me as a trainer. Obviously, you know, I'd had a couple of Australian champions and thing at that stage, but to get a world champion, you know, under your belt, coming out of your gym, you know, was really massive for us. So I'd always love having Charles around. He's absolutely a gentleman, and he's a big part of my life now. Still,
he was good to me when I was in Thailand. Like, I'd catch up with him, and he'd come over, and he'd always be, you know, generous, and when I was broke as fuck, he'd always be one of the first offers to send me money and stuff.
He's a total gentleman.
For sure.
Real good guy. And then taking him over to fight on Pond Show.
For the WBC international belt.
That was WBC against Razi Jabari. It was a tough Iranian guy. And he definitely what's the word I'm looking for? He definitely exceeded the expectation when I said to Charles, you need to actually bash this guy, because he was actually rude. He was actually rude to me, and I actually didn't like it at all. I was trying to be a gentleman, and he was quite rude to me. And then, you know, like stalking us as we're getting ready, you know, like from the other side of the change rooms, he's walking back this way and he's walking back that way, and he's just like he's doing that, you know, the walk back, and he's looking this way and then he's look back in that way, and he's looking at us, and I was like, fucking, we need to get out of here, Charles. This is driving me nuts, right? So we went, took Charles down into this little bloody stairwell. And I had like about 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters, where, you know, you go up the stairs and then the fucking outside to the outside of the building. I said, we're just going to do it here. So we, you know, I started holding pads for him there, and I was like pumping Charles up hard, and I was like getting into Charles, and I was like, come on, you know, pumping him up. And Charles literally kicked the shit out of me down the bottom there, which I loved at the time, because that's what I wanted from him. And then I couldn't walk for 3 days. My legs were smashed, you know, like my body was smashed. He's just such a great guy to train, because he would switch on, and that's what you. That's
I remember
what you
he came to us, and man, I used to be able to ragdoll him in the clinch and stuff, and then man, he went off and worked on it, and one trip to Thailand, came back, and all of a sudden it was a battle for me to clinch him.
No, definitely, he's definitely a good. He was a good learner. And, you know, he went on and progressed after I stepped away from the fight club as such. You know, Charles went and you know, continued on with Rikers, and you know, Jeremy, you know, like took care of him there, and they always invite me into the corner on the big fights, and I really appreciated that. Cool. But yeah, he was always going to do really well from them. They were a great gym, and they still are.
How many fights did he end up having? Do you know?
I reckon he had nearly 70 fights.
There
was one stage here in Adelaide where, you know, like he was fighting out of us, and he had like 6 fights in the year, and he knocked out everybody. He had the highest knockout rate in Australia.
For
he
sure.
was just doing like big things, and then I think Harold Olsen. He knocked out Kim Olsen at the Woolshed, which nobody ever saw that was going to happen. And then later on down the track, his older cousin Harold, you know, came along, and that was on a night at the Etzer Park in Knees of Fury. Shepster Promotions, and
I remember you let me wrap Charles' hands for that one.
yeah,
Made big knuckle dusters on.
Yeah. Well, he didn't need them anyway. It's really just to protect his hands. Cause at the end of the day, you know, like
when you're a big, powerful hitter,
you're a powerful hitter.
Just as dangerous for your hands as it is for their head sometimes.
Absolutely. But you know, like Charles fighting Harold Olsen, you know, that was a massive fight. He was 42 and 1 draw. Harold, I think at that stage. That's a massive record, you know.
And a beautiful Thai stylist as well.
Great Thai stylist, and he was picking Charles off in the first round, you know, scoring points on him, and then you know, then Charles had managed to you know, get him nicely, got him with a really nice. I think it was a.
Didn't do like the 1-2 step out to the side, then come across. Well, that was the final one, wasn't it?
That was the final. Yeah. That was a finish. That was the finish of it. Yeah. And he banged him with an overhand right, and he sent him to the canvas, and he got an 8 count.
Yeah.
And he got back up, and then, you know, I was over in the corner saying to Charles, you know, go in, circle off, and hit from the angle. And so, you know, Charles, you know, switched on straight away. You know, like say he ran towards him. He's you know, moved up quickly towards him, sidestepped, went bang.
Boom.
Harold fell like a tree, and it was pretty devastating knockout.
Big knockout, yeah.
And you know, look, all props to Harold anyway. You know, no slouch. You know, never fought anyone like Charles. Charles was one of those guys that was always dangerous.
Yep.
Forever dangerous, and you know, you could never ever take him lightly. And you know, I said to Mark Castanini at the time, he asked me, "How do you think Charles will go?" And I said, "Oh, well, you know, look, we don't take Harold Olsen lightly at all. He comes from a big family of great fighters."
Yeah.
I said, but you know, I know Charles has been working hard, and I just think that he's going to knock him out.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he did. Yeah, that was a big highlight too.
Yep. What do you feel Muay Thai today is missing?
What's Muay Thai missing today?
Because I feel characters. Like, you know, back in the day you had like, you know, say the guys on Evolution, you had Daddy Cool, you had Butcher and that doing their thing, and but it wasn't just them, there was a bit of everything. There was a lot of people doing stuff, you know, I think.
Yeah, I think that what happens there is, and John Wayne Paz, you know, he was doing it near the end. I think as a fighter, when he gets like in the thick of his career and he's actually had a lot of fights, now he's comfortable to be himself, and you know, like he can come out and play that funny character. You cannot take that for granted. Anybody cannot take that for granted. So whatever character he feels he wants to play, or you know, he just wants to come out wearing something different, whatever. I find that it's normally with the more mature fighters, those that have been around. If we look back in time, how things panned out, and with John Wayne Park, gunslinger, got a gun, comes out doing what was that song that he came out to?
I'm sexy.
I'm sexy and
take rip his shorts off, Velcro his shorts. And
absolutely awesome. Legendary. But yeah, it's nice to be able to see that sort of stuff still.
I think it's memorable. Like even, you know, some people wanted to talk some shit about 50 Shades the last walkout with the gimp mask on. And shit, like, and man, at the end of the day, people remember it forever. You know, unfortunately the performance didn't come after it, but
that's what happens. Sometimes when you got an injury, or you know, and you're trying to hide it, trying to stand up strong, and just, you know, like, because you don't want to disappoint the promoter or whatever, so you get in there and you do what you do. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to take one on the chin, you know, and we've seen. And Matt Stevens recently, you know, like he fought over in Dubai. And it had a hard fight there. And, you know, look, then was it Japan that he fought? He fought against a guy just recently.
He fought in China against Yodwishar.
So
and then Yodwishar fought like a week later against Max McVicker.
So that guy that he fought was an absolute gun. And I could personally see Matt Stevens beating that guy as good as he was. Matt Stevens is another kettle of fish that, you know, if you don't know how to handle
superb
him,
athlete too.
He's a super duper athlete, and he's got a solid mindset and a great game. You know, he's looked after by good people from Rikers, you know, and Jez and Richie's an absolute weapon, you know, and has got his hands up like really well. And his kicks, you know, come from his Taekwondo background. Jez has worked on them as well, and you know, it's just made him a good, dangerous weapon as a whole. But he went over with an injury no one knew about, but you know, he wasn't going to pull out of it. and that's just a testament to having strong character.
Yeah, for sure.
Still gave himself a chance to have a crack and have a win. So hopefully he'll be holding his hands up high again in the near future.
Yeah, he's, I just saw an announcement. He's fighting Piak Samui, the older Thai from who lives in Perth.
Yeah,
he was one of the trainers at Phuket Fight Club until recently. Yeah.
Okay.
So
he's going to fight
him on. I think he's fighting on Stand the Man show. I reckon it is.
Yeah. Iron Line.
Yeah, that one. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Iron Line Promotions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good news.
Oh, I reckon it was something else. Something Spartan. Some Spartan show or something maybe.
Maybe that will. Yeah, but it's by Iron Line.
I reckon.
Promotions.
I reckon.
think that's what it is. Yeah. George. Longanides. Yeah. George Longanides. Yeah. Another promoter.
Yeah.
And so that. Yeah, far out. That's a good opportunity for him right there.
Just checking my time here. Sweet. All right.
We should maybe say some stuff about maybe the recent stuff.
Yeah.
Recent stuff from your end.
Yeah,
How
man.
things are going from your end.
Man, it's been busy with the amateurs. Panna is like my main pro guy at the moment. He's over in Thailand fighting tomorrow. I've got Josh Masters, who came to me from ETK, was a kickboxer, now like doing the Muay Thai thing, and his next one's pro boxing, but that's not until October. Getting a pro boxing fight in. Man, other than that, it's just the amateurs, and we've got amateurs almost every couple of weeks usually.
Keeping you flat out.
Yeah. So I've got next weekend. I'm in Ballina, Spiro's show.
Oh yeah. That's good. That's actually that's going to rise that promotion. I reckon if he can get that off the ground and go on solid, good fights.
I think he just wants to now stick to the full amateur scene for a while, like proper amateur and amateur only, which is
good way to build your show.
Yeah, for sure. So he's doing that.
Well, Carly has done that well.
Yeah,
pride.
100%. That last one was really good.
Cracker.
So I've got that on next weekend. Then I'll be over at Rebellion for the Rebellion show, 31st of September. Got no one on, but going there as I do to every Rebellion.
Yeah.
And then off to Thailand. I'll go to Thailand I arrived there 2 days out from Max McVicker fighting in the last round of the knockout rounds of the
cracker.
Oh man, it was Hercules.
Max.
Yeah, man. So
Absolute
gone over
weapon.
there and was just speaking to Kieran earlier today, so I'll be jumping in the corner for Max.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, man. So I cornered for him on his debut on RWS, which was cool. This time
that last fight he had against Sajjad, that was hectic.
Yeah, man.
That was a tough fight.
Yeah, and Max just showed that he's a different level at the moment.
He can just rise to the occasion.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's honestly, one of the best in the world right now. Like, and stylistically, probably the best in the world.
Yeah.
It's just going to be that getting to that elite level of beating those top guys. Like, I think in a rematch he'd probably beat Yodwishar now, but I think it was a little bit, he pedestaled him a little bit too much for the first fight. Yeah, it's been corner on that show. Like, man, Rajaman's the original Muay Thai stadium.
Yeah.
Like the first ever.
And I actually got to go there first time.
That's right.
And you were there.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, that was fucking Pinkster there, right?
That wasn't the night I cornered. That was when was Max on then?
No, he didn't fight that night.
Okay.
He fought the night we were leaving. Remember, we wanted to go.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, we wanted to go, but Manoli fought for the World Championship final.
Yep. That's right.
In Thailand, the World Championships, which he was very successful at.
Yeah.
Might add, and he was an absolute weapon over there. And we got there 5 days early, and thanks to Murray for the invite. I took him, and also last minute, young Edmund. He stepped up.
He's a tough boy.
They were just coming to watch.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we'll see if we can't get you a match up. Murray was good enough to get that happening for him. So he got into the World Champions and come home with a bronze.
Yep.
Manoli was definitely a standout at the World Championships, and there was a lot of guys in the pro areas where I think that Manoli would have definitely won that as well. that they were looking at him and they were thinking, no, you know, like we don't want to fight this guy, you know, like that was the looks that I was seeing on the faces of these guys, you know, like I was holding pads for Manoli in the hotel.
Yep.
And Manoli was on, he was so sharp as attack, you know, like he would have, definitely turned some heads.
Yeah.
And then, when he went there to fight in centre ring, he was dangerous. He was doing all sorts of stuff, you know, like he was really tuned into me where I was in the corner as well. You know, I'd say something and then he'd execute it, and it was just like the timing was just great.
Yep.
And he just, you know, he went from one strength to another.
Yep.
And you know, it was.
How many fights did he end up having? 4 or 5?
He had 4 fights. 4 fights in, I don't know, 4 days.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days or whatever. Yeah, I think he had 1 day off in the middle. There
He had one. He had one. Yeah, he had a day off. He had 1 day off, and we were hoping he was going to get the weekend off.
That's
and
right.
He didn't get the weekend off. And we're like, oh fuck, because we were going to come watch the Max McVicker fight. So it turned out he was fighting that night, and you know, we were a little bit concerned because he had a bit of a sore leg, and but he was so resilient in that tournament that you know, he probably had more issues than he even led on to, because that's the sort of fighter that Manoli is. He's just he's very resilient, very headstrong, and knows what he wants, and he goes out there and he gets it, because, you know, he believes in himself. And he believes in himself because he doesn't leave the stones unturned.
This is what I say to everyone. You cover all the stone, you cover every single base that you can.
Yeah.
Then when you get in there, which is what scares people from covering every base. When you get in there, and if you don't win, then unfortunately you just weren't good enough.
That's right.
And that's what everyone's scared of. Yeah. Everyone's scared of not being good enough, doing their best but not being good enough.
Yeah.
And
that's a challenge that Manoli, you know.
That's what makes him different.
He's an adrenaline junkie. He loves to for that feeling within himself where he's really challenging himself. And it's amazing to be a part of that journey with him, you know, because he's such a fastidious person, as you know, like everything has to be right as it can be. And but upon saying that, if something goes wrong, he's prepared for that as well mentally.
For sure.
And that's what makes him, you know, not just the same as the average fighter. He's actually a cut above. And I personally believe that he's going to go on and win a world title. You know, he had a bit of a setback. And I'm telling you right now, he's actually, that setback has given him time to ponder.
So much drive as well,
Yeah, so much time. And he's, you know, some people might say, oh, you know, it was only a dislocation or this, that and the other. But to him, that's a massive thing. And he's made a massive thing out of recovering it properly. Every single detail, he's going to do it. And when he comes back, he's going to be fitter, faster, stronger, and more dangerous than he was before. Because the mental game is just, you know, his striking game with all 8 weapons is phenomenal anyway. But his mental game,
massive power,
got massive power, great speed. He was only just he just started to really generate another level of speed. And when the unfortunate accident happened, but you know, he's going in leaps and bounds now. And I've got him doing work with Richie as well. You know, who's a massive influence not only on myself but on a lot of the top fighters coming out of Adelaide. That are going anywhere. He's just got great advice. He's got really good explanations on how things are done. So I'm learning from him as well, which is really good. But yeah, Manoli. 2025, watch out for this guy, because he's going to come back like a storm, and I personally believe that he'll take off from where he left off, and you know, he'll be probably the person people will be having on their minds when that first, you know, the first opportunity comes up, and that's going to be great. You know, is
there a time frame? Is there an idea of roughly when he'll be ready to go again?
You No, well, I just said to Manoli, you know, like when you feel that you're ready,
Yep.
I'll just know, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, with Manoli, I feel like I know him well enough that if I said to him, you know, like, you know, you're going to do, you're going to fight next week, although that's impossible at the moment.
He'd do it because he'd do it with faith that he was doing it for.
He wouldn't do it,
Okay.
right? Because he knows that he can't give 100%.
Okay,
right?
I get you what you mean. Then.
If he was 100%, if I said you're fighting tomorrow and then you're fighting the next day as well, somewhere else, he'd take it.
Yep,
you know?
yeah, I get what you mean.
So, I understand where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with this, he's not going to put himself in a position when he knows that he's not ready. He's not ready. So
he wants to jump back in where he left off, and
covering all the bases, doing the right things, and I respect that 100.
Yeah.
And you know, he comes in and he grapples in your gym, you know, when he's in fight camp, and always, you know, sets a good example. Wherever he goes, and he's got lots of knowledge. And he's rising.
Hard worker, and the focus. Yeah, for sure. The focus is actually like crazy, like how driven he is.
Yeah,
it's amazing, man. Like, we've spoken about it a lot. It's like it's that rarity that is the difference between being good and being great.
That's right.
Yeah,
and you know, like, it's not that there's so many really, really good fighters out there. You know, there's not many great fighters.
No.
Right, and well, there is, but you know, when you talk worldwide, but when you talk a little old Adelaide, you know, there's not a lot of great fighters here. You know, you could probably count them on one hand, but you know, I liken a great fighter from Adelaide. You know, someone like Matt Stevens. You know. He's actually he can adapt to anything. You know, they got him on the Rebellion, and he surprised them with his
got through the final,
with his abilities to get to where he was. And you know, I actually felt he won that fight, but at the same time, the 100% Muay Thai on the back of t-shirts wasn't gonna cut it, because it's a full Muay Thai show. You know, and the freestyle doesn't really
that Thai is just.
He's phenomenal though.
I was with him on the weekend.
Yeah.
So he broke his foot in his last fight.
Oh yeah. Cool guy.
And he's something phenomenal. He's actually phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's just got that long, tall build.
And he's actually was on the national boxing team for Thailand.
Yeah.
So he adapts the boxing movement to the Muay Thai as well, and fuck man, he makes it work, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, some people are just good at that, you know, like they just get it down. But that was a good opportunity, you know, like for Matt to showcase himself, and you know, he's putting himself on the line to fight the best in the world.
Yep.
You know, and you know, another lad that you suggested before, coming out of here, coming out of Adelaide from
Nick Keros.
Nick Keros.
Yeah, man. He's fighting on RWS the same night when I'm cornering for Max.
Yeah. I saw him fight on that show on the RWS, and he always impresses me. That
right. He's such
sharp.
a quiet achiever.
Yeah.
Like he's obviously he's on the socials and all that sort of stuff, but there's not one slight bit of wankerism in him.
No.
And
focused.
Yeah, man. Such a good kid and super talented. Man, but he had a rough start to his career. Like I think he lost a whole pile of his first fights, and he just stuck with it, you know.
Yeah,
been with Geordie from day one, and
sometimes you know, like when the juniors are coming through, you know, to have a few losses in the early days, it's not the end of the world.
No,
it's a part of building your character, you know, because
100%,
you know,
man.
Whatever you do when you start and you're a kid, you know, like. These become the stories that you'd say once you become that champion. You'd say, when I was a kid, you know, I had all these losses, and but I kept going because I actually wanted to be someone.
Yep.
And I knew I had it coming, but I just needed the experience to mix it with the best. And now here I am doing it.
It's that whole what's the saying? Don't let wins get to your head, and don't let losses get to your heart.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah, like you've got to. Either way, you've got to sit down and learn from them. Yeah. Whether you won, whether you lost, you've got to rip it apart and enjoy the win. Yeah. But you need to quickly get back to the books.
Don't get hung up on it.
No.
Yeah.
Because that was you yesterday. That's not you tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless you make it you tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because there's you know, it's like there's no. It's not like a championship is not something that you can just own. It's just a rented thing, you know. Like
100%.
It's just a rented space,
Yep.
you know, like in time, and you can be it one day and you can not be it the next day.
Yep.
You know, so the rent's always due. You got to always be on as best you can.
Man, earning that shit.
You know, it's definitely a great. There's some great things happening in Muay Thai around the world as we speak, and we've got some big things coming out of Adelaide. You know, like with you know, hopefully Shades gets back on the wagon and shows his you know, his true colours and his true strengths, because you know you've done so well with him, and I feel like he's one of those lads that just, you know, just give him a little bit of space, let him do his thing. He's still trying to find himself, and I think that he'll come back bigger, better, stronger. And
he could honestly be a world champion.
Absolutely, he could be.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I felt like he could beat that Thai that he fought. You know, I really
totally thought he would have.
I just thought he was, you know, not being well and not saying about it. I thought that was really solid of him and yourself to hold that back from anybody at the time. But you know, so the Thai didn't really get to fight the true, you know, strength of him. And I've seen him rise. You know, Manoli's got big beliefs in him as well.
Yeah.
You know, because Manoli's, you know, like spars with Shades.
Yeah, for sure.
I felt like Manoli had a massive impact on his you know, growing as a fighter as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, like things happen, and you know, fighters will come, then they'll go, they'll come, they'll go. But you know, the real ones will come back to you. You know,
yeah, for sure. And that's why, like, I don't get caught up on when they do leave. Especially if they do the right. You know, he spoke to me about it and and man, cool. Yep, sweet. That's all right.
Yeah.
Doing the dodgy way of just disappearing or rocking up and disappearing for 6 months and rocking up in another gym and all that sort of stuff. They can get fucked. Those people can get fucked. But
I get that.
Because it's not hard to be respectful and show some appreciation for what
shows your character.
Yeah,
shows your genuine character. And if you want to be a champion, right, you got to have those champion qualities. So any of you guys out there that want to be a champion, you know, you got to do the champion things. You know, like have respect for people. And you know, be a gentleman at all times, and you know, like keep yourself in good character. You know, everyone falls off the wagon, you know, like for something or another. You know, like something traumatic happens in life and whatnot. That's, you know, it's unfortunate, but it is a reality. And you know, we're warriors, and we've got to get back on the wagon and soldier on. You know what I mean? Because you know, born relentless, taught to relent. You know, it's a true story. So yeah, we can only learn from the things that we do. You know, stepping away and then coming back. Sometimes we actually get better because we stepped away. You know,
I agree with that.
Probably the hardest part is just the first few weeks. You know, like getting back into that fitness and whatnot. But you know what, a fighter that never spends too much time away from it will find his fitness and his strengths again within the first couple of weeks.
The rhythm comes pretty quickly.
The rhythm comes pretty quick, you know.
You gain that timing, and man, I just started sparring again. Like, I'm doing whatever it takes to not get punched in the head because my brain's had enough. But sparring again, first night, couldn't find the timing. Second night, I'm back to being able to do what I could do before. Probably not quite as good, but it doesn't take long. So, but yeah, it's one of those things, like, it's once it's in you, you're programmed with it. I just you know, for me, my sparring now is holding the pads for the boys, because you know, not everyone holds the pads for the boys the way that I do. You know, I sort of like I make them feel like at times they're in the fight. And even with that, you know, that's a strategy. That's a strategy that I use right there, you know. And in my older years now, I'm starting to, you know, work on some other things, you know, just repeating the same things over and over again. I'm a big one for that one. I love that.
Just to get that, you know, that timing and the precision of your technique, find your strength of that technique, and you know, because that might just be the one thing that you actually really can land, and everyone knows you throw it. but they just cannot see the time.
Yeah,
they
man,
can't
yeah.
see it coming because
Yep.
you've practiced it over and over again.
Yep.
And that's a massive thing. That
Make your strength stronger.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's right.
Big one for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to touch on?
Got the just a quick mention about the Bullcat. He'll be coming back as well.
Yep.
So look forward to him coming back and you know, make some storms in the MMA scene and hopefully you know, he might jump on and have another.
Yeah, I was going to say he's going to jump across to Thai boxing again.
He might. He'll you know, look, you offer him a challenge and he's taken it. He'll fight anything: boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, wrestling. You know, he can take it anywhere.
Yep.
And a great exponent of the sport.
Yep.
As far as like, you know, got good fight IQ. Although he's messy and all the rest of it, he sees things. You know, he's really quite smart in there.
Yep.
He knows what to do. And
he's another one of those really driven guys, eh? Like he's just
He came from soccer.
Yeah.
He's a goalkeeper for Adelaide United, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing coming across here? There's no money here.
What was the?
He just loves to fight.
Yeah, yeah,
you know, and he wanted to fight.
Yep.
And he knew he couldn't give both of them the same thing, so he stepped away from it.
Wow.
And, that's incredible. So
Bless him, yeah.
he's got some, you know, big ambitions, and he's capable.
Yep.
He stays on task. He's more than capable.
Yep.
So that's awesome. And then we got young Harry coming through. You know, he's coming up for a battle, which can't wait for this to happen. He's going to get challenged really well. And so is the other guy. So
Yeah, for sure. Definitely an experience.
For a good fight.
Advantage to the other side, but you know, it's that youth, isn't it? Youth and hunger.
Yeah. We just got to see.
Yeah.
You know, can you bring it? And I believe that with that self-belief and that in what he's doing, he loves to do it.
Yeah.
And I just think that he's going to be something to look forward to in the future. And you know, even we could definitely see this boy in Thai boxing in the future, because he's got that nice long body and he's working on some new techniques, and he's doing really well.
Cool.
And the two young fellas, Julius and Edmund. Edmund's just had his last session here in Adelaide. He's going off to Albania.
Oh, cool. Going to visit family and that.
Going to visit family 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So I want him still training over there.
Yeah, cool.
I've had him and Julius training with me here, you know, a couple of nights a week now, which is good. And they're definitely going to be coming in leaps and bounds in the near future.
Edmund's definitely body-wise turning into an adult. Hey, like he's really starting to turn into a man, young man. Yeah.
Really shaping up. You know, see, Julius is still very young. He's only 14 years old.
Yep.
14-year-old with fucking man strength, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But once he starts to get you know, older, he'll focus more on the things that, you know, he's so quick to try this and try that, and that's indicative of any child.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It is.
And trying to adapt to everything and anything, but we
you
all
soon
know
figure
that
out what works for you.
You got to find what you're doing. You got to focus down on that one thing, and then you'll be great at that.
Yep.
But Edmund's definitely going to be something of the future, and he's another one. You know, he's done a few tournaments, the padded tournaments with yours included. You know, he's lost a few and he's won a few. He's lost more than he's won, but you know.
But that's what the joys of being an amateur. You get to do that.
Yeah, but he's going to, when he actually steps on, I think he's going to be very good in the future.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, that should be pretty cool. And you know, since we're just talking about fighters, you know, like a couple of your when your shoulder kept popping out and your
first fight.
Just going back to that, just because there was a bit of a battle that he overcame. You know, and this is a perfect example of someone that, you know, just did not want to give up, and he wanted to fucking finish the fight. And the doc they couldn't get pop his arm back in because he wanted to fight, carry on, and I've managed to just pull his arm straight up like this and
pop back in.
And he went on there and he won the fight. Was it your birthday as well?
No, that was Kyle's second fight. Or no, Kyle's first fight was on his birthday.
Yeah.
That wasn't my birthday. But yeah, it was. That was cool. That was literally, man, like one of the highlights of my whole fight career was probably my first fight, I reckon. Like, I think no matter what, it would have been hard for anyone who was in front of me, just because of how a lot of it was, you know, obviously
You're so driven to get to
we'd had
overcome.
Richard's funeral that day and that and stuff, and that was hard, you know. And we were very.
That one was for him.
Yeah, it was. 100% it was.
Yeah, that one.
100% it was.
And I've still got that trophy in my thing. I'm thinking about bringing it back because actually all the guys, like, I only had a couple of names on it, and I'm actually gonna.
That'd be sick.
I got a funny feeling that in my heart I'm gonna have a night and all these plaques are gonna go on that in one go from all the guys. I'd like to do that.
That'd be sick.
Out of respect for the boys that have always put their heart and souls into it. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And that could definitely happen. Go back just one more step. Domenico Amato.
Yeah.
You know, I bumped into him. I bumped into that lad at the at West Lakes.
I haven't seen him for years.
I hadn't seen him for years either. But he was actually my second student, kid, right from the word go. Him and Cole Forster and Melissa.
Yep.
They were my first ones, and you know, and they were all really good. She was my only ever Australian champion. Melissa.
Yep.
She won that in the Gold Coast.
Yep.
And then and Domenico, he was absolute, you know, the hardest kicker.
Oh my God.
I've ever held pads for. Half Italian, half Thai.
Yeah.
So he's he had some
100% lazy.
He had the lazy side on him, and then he had, you know, obviously the Italian. He wanted to be up there and and have a crack.
Yeah.
But seeing him was amazing because, you know, he made me realise why I'm still here today.
Yeah.
You know, alongside everything that Manoli's done to like bring me back on the scene without him even realising it, myself even knowing it, giving me a purpose. You know, spending time with guys like yourself. You know, reminiscing. When I haven't seen someone for such a long time like Domenico, and I remember him as a young little boy. You know. And now he's a man. His size of him, he was huge, actually, a big bloke, and he's got kids himself. And he stopped me right there and then, and he said, you know, like, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, you actually changed my life. And, you know, and I was sort of, at the time, I was sort of taking it for granted, but he's like, no, you know, you really did. And, you know, and it really, like, we were both in the West Lakes. We gave each other a hug, you know, like, and it was really cool. And, you know, I really respect him for sharing that with me, and now he's got a family of his own, and I went away from that feeling pretty good. His wife and my missus, my wife, he was both looking at us like, are these guys actually going to let go of each other, or are they gay, or you know? But but he's like another one of my sons, you know.
He was always one of them he was always a grateful sort of guy as well. Like he was always
helpful as well.
Yeah, for sure.
His father actually did.
That's right.
He carved that out in one of
the
his
signs still on the window.
Machines.
The sign's still on the window at that shop he had in Port Adelaide.
Is it?
Yeah, like someone else is in there, but on the side that the road where the bridge is, it's actually still got the sign on there. The whatever it's called, fucking.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been awesome.
Sick, man.
It's probably been up and down because I'm all over the shop. You know, I'm a bit.
I'm the same, though, bro. It's all the punches in the head, bro. It's all the fun stuff. But no, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and do this with me, and it's nice for, you know, a lot of people know, you know, I mention you a lot, and a lot of people know who you are, and it's nice to hear for people to learn a little bit more and see where I come from, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, like you're a generation that's you know, got a tough gig ahead of you. You know what I mean? And if someone's gonna be able to do it, you're going to be able to do it. You know, you have that, you know, cunt in you where you know you'll be able to soldier on with or without them. Yeah, you know,
that's exactly right.
And that's how you've always been, and that's how you're always going to be, and that's you. And if they don't know it, people don't know it or respect it, well then that's totally up to them. But you know, you've always been a gentleman to me. And you've been a pain in the arse to me as well.
Absolutely.
It's
my job as a son.
And it's turned around because, you know, you became a man, and you're respected, you know, highly by myself, and for the things that you've achieved in Muay Thai, and really bringing Muay Thai into Adelaide in a big way, and you know, getting your you know, people think, you know, might think, oh, it's nothing, but, you know, being a rep for the WBC, that's massive. Even, it doesn't matter where it's at, the amateur level, you know, some people say it's only at the amateur level. You know, everything, we all started as an amateur, right?
Yeah, and if you don't have good amateurs, you don't have good pros.
True story.
So,
and yeah, let's go Muay Thai in Adelaide. Carly from Pride, need to get this, keep going where you're going.
Yeah, but right now, between Carly and Paddy, we've got a good thing going with the amateurs.
Yeah,
build those amateurs up and...
Yeah, no, true story.
Yeah.
The last Valley Muay Thai, you know, I heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, it was actually fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. That's great
well
for
run.
the young amateurs coming through.
Yep.
And also, and Carly, you know, like her show's grown.
Doing both, yeah.
And her last show was actually absolutely hectic. Not just because we had somebody on there, but just, you know, I was so surprised, and it was in my own backyard, backing down in the port there.
Nice, huh?
I remember having a few scraps around the outside of that place back in the day, about 14, 15 under the bridge as well.
Yep.
But yeah,
November 23 going again for that one, and November 3 for Paddy's. So
yeah, nice.
Valley, yeah.
Nice.
So
sounds good. Shit's going to go down here in Adelaide. It's going to be a good little thing.
But yeah, once again, I want to thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Appreciate everything you've done for me over the last 22 years. And yeah, no doubt there'll be a part 2 to this at some point.
Yeah. Just if we do get back to part 2, and I start repeating myself, you'll know why.
Love you, brother. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks, bro. Thank you. Cop and Cup.